Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, the bowing bowman, Steven.
Hey!
What's up, buddy?
Thank you for using one that I actually gave myself.
You know, I liked it so much.
About to you, Jake.
I liked it so much, I had to throw it in there.
I thought you'd like it.
We're, of course, talking about Steven's live stream of Ghost of Tsushima last night, or I guess it wasn't last night, it was this past Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
We've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima, or as
the game,
as I like to call it, the Archer of Tsushima, because that is how Steven and I are playing very much. At this point,
I was very pleased with how much they were just like, look, the meat of the combat is a katana. Like you're going to be using a katana,
but when you
have
having steak, probably, you got to have potatoes, and the potatoes are the bow.
They really acknowledged how important the bow is to samurai combat, and they embrace it with all the different, like with the armor you can get and the two different bows and just all the stuff. I'm very pleased. We're
going to talk all about our thoughts of Ghost of Tsushima in this podcast, but first we're going to talk about some news, some housekeeping items, and lots more fun, because this is Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We got a great show for you this week. We're going to be talking about some PlayStation news. They're increasing production. We almost had a pre-order happen this week, but it didn't. We're going to talk about some anime this week. We're going to talk about Dragon's Dogma anime coming to Netflix. And then we're going to talk about the delay of Destiny 2's expansion, Beyond Light. And then at the end of the show, we'll talk about our thoughts of Ghost of Tsushima, and I'll talk about my thoughts on Paper Mario. So lots of fun stuff. But first, we've got some housekeeping. Steven, you're doing this little thing we call Forward Compatible, where we take a game we haven't played in at least 5 years, and we replay through the whole thing and do a review. Right now, you're playing Watch Dogs. You got an update. Tell us about the update.
So the update is more or less basically I'm trying. Like that's my update. A lot. I'm gonna move the mic closer over here. I forgot that the mic was here, like to the right, and now it's actually in front of me. So if you can hear me now, but couldn't earlier, that's why. But basically, I've been working through Watch Dogs. I've been enjoying it. It has been fun, but it's been kind of a bear, because I said early on when I started doing Forward Compatible that it was going to be a while before I started embracing open world games, just because there's so much content. Kalen specifically, our mod, has been asking for Morrowind or Knights of the Old Republic, and I cry even thinking about that, because it's just like,
so much content.
I want to play those games, but there is just so much stuff that I would have to do, and we could find a balance there with stuff like that. But I feel like an important part of these reviews is that I have to play through the story, because the story for most games, at least until things like Destiny and Division came along, the story is where you experience everything.
Right.
Even if the game's got a lot of side content, the story encapsulates all of it. And also, I'm a big story guy. So Watch Dogs has been problematic because the PC port sucks. And I'm calling it a PC port,
to put it lightly.
Even though I'm pretty sure it came out on PC when it came out on everything else, it very much feels like something they released and we're just like, okay, bye. Like, let's not fix this. And it's funny because that's not how Ubisoft is anymore. They are all about like PC first, everything else second. They kind of screwed over the console players. But with Watch Dogs, this was before that. So I hit a bug, and this is just an overall update. TLDR, I'm still doing Watch Dogs. It's just taking longer than I thought. But what is taking me longer is the fact that the game is just longer than I thought it was. And there's just so much side content. When I play Spider Tank for like 45 minutes in one of my streams, because there's just so much side stuff to do and there's so many people to, invade their personal privacy, that there's not enough time in the day to do all these things. But specifically what I hit a roadblock with, you guys may remember this. There's a mission called Not a Job for Tyrone. It's where you meet Bedbug, who is the cousin of Iraq, one of the main, like the first boss in Watch Dogs, basically. And you're trying to basically scare him into being your inside man. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to go up to his house. You're supposed to hack his house, which when you do the intrusion lets you watch his camera. And then you get to see a conversation between him and his grandma. He tells his grandma they call me Bedbug because a bedbug can get into any lady's bed. Real top-notch gentleman, that Tyrone.
Absolutely.
But that's all supposed to be just like, cool. I've started the mission. I have hacked Tyrone's house. But what actually happened, the first attempt, you guys who have been watching Forward Compatible will remember this. I hacked his house. Then like 3 seconds later, it said Tyrone has died. Mission failed. And I was like, that was weird. Let's try that again. Something probably happened where something just probably broke. I tried it again, like 4 times. Each time it didn't work. Restarted my game after killing the stream. Didn't work. So that's when I was just like, I am going to have to start over on console. That's where I was.
Right.
But I did some digging, and I'm only telling this story because of how hilarious what actually happened, like behind the scenes, behind the curtain, how hilarious that was. But basically what happens when you do this, my understanding of the little that I read, is that when you do the intrusion, it creates like a scene transition because you go to, the computer screen where it's black background and then the different bars to connect. When that happens, Tyrone is in the house. But when the transition goes to the intrusion, the floor underneath exactly where he's standing goes away. So Tyrone falls to his death. So the way I fixed it is I went up to Tyrone's house. Outside of it, I can't go inside. Pulled out an AK and just shot into his house until the magazine was empty. And everybody's screaming like, oh my God, he's got a gun. This guy's got a gun. Hey, everybody run. This guy's got a gun. And I give it like 2 seconds and then I hack again. And it works because Tyrone was in the house. He heard the gunfire, got scared, and then ran away from where the floor that falls was. This wasn't intended, by the way. This is just a bug that people have had since the game launched on PC.
Since it launched?
Since it launched.
Wow.
6 years ago. So that's an example. Like for the most part, the glitches and bugs and whatever have just been smaller things like Aiden's coat freaks out all the time. Or just the fact that using a mouse and keyboard with driving mechanics is hell on earth. It's been rough. So I'm saying all this because I thought you'd get a laugh out of it, how ridiculous this whole situation is. But also, it's taking a little more time than anticipated. The review may not come till August. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm going to try to play basically every single night moving forward just till I can get this thing done. I'm hopefully going to have a controller to use because using a controller with Uplay is not as easy as it is with Steam. It's a whole thing.
Should be,
yeah. But to make sure that I can have integrity in what I say in this review, because like I said, I'm enjoying the game, but I want to be able to say things like, don't play it on PC, play it on console instead. So to make sure that it still holds up on console, I will be playing some on console in my spare time, not all the way through. God help me if I had to do that.
Right.
But I will be playing
to get a gist of the controls and does this feel bad
trying to repeat certain activities. If I have a save that's remotely close to Not a Job for Tyrone, I'll play that and see if that bug is there. But I just want to make sure that what I say is true.
Right.
So it may take a little more time, but It's coming.
Thank you,
There you
Steven. I'm
Update
so impressed that you got past that glitch and that all worked. So kudos.
If there's one thing that I'm really good at, it is troubleshooting or adapting. I'm very good about just taking a situation and just being like, okay, let's try this. Okay, let's try that. Like,
just my thought.
I'm really good at throwing stuff at the wall till it sticks.
It's just so funny to me that like your first thought, or I'm sure it wasn't your first thought. I'm sure you had lots of thoughts about how stupid it was and how dumb this is. But I just love that the thought that you came to was, what if I shoot up the house before I start this so that maybe he'll move?
That was my first thought before I even knew that Tyrone was actually in the house and that there was a disappearing floor underneath him. I actually on stream shot the house, but I guess I didn't shoot it enough because it didn't work. I think I shot like 3 shots with the D50. So I guess 3 shots in that neighborhood is just nothing.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. It's a pretty rough neighborhood. There's a lot of
you gotta really put some noise out.
You're right. You gotta pull out an automatic. You gotta really let them know you mean business. 3 shots means, I just mugged a guy. Carry on with your business. It has nothing to do with you. No, that's 2 shots.
Oh, I'm sorry.
1 shot means go.
1 shot as I'm crossing the street. Watch out.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Well, so just keep looking out for Watch Dogs, and that'll be streaming all week long. So be sure to follow, subscribe, like us on whatever platform you're watching to keep up with that.
The plan is to at least beat the game by the end of this month. The review probably won't come till August. If I need extra time to beat it, I'll use it. But don't expect to see the review this month, because along with beating the game, it's the whole process of writing the script, getting timestamps, Jake editing my VO. There's a ton of stuff that goes with it. So
exactly.
It'll take some time, but it'll be worth it. Hopefully
it'll be worth it. Just like our conversation about Ghost of Tsushima at the end of the news. Let's go. I'm ready to talk about it. So I want to get through some news. Let's start with PS5, Steven. Lots of rumors last Monday were scurrying around. I don't know if you caught wind of any of this, Steven, but there were things floating around. Basically, Amazon launched a PS5 pre-order page. You couldn't pre-order. It didn't say a price, but it was very obviously their pre-order page. I'm pretty sure you can probably still go to it. It's got all the information. It shows you like the camera, the remote, the DualSense, yada yada yada. Look, and I mean it is legit. It looks super legit. All that's missing is price and a button to hit pre-order. That all went live. People, oh my God, are they about to just shadow drop the price and release date? Pre-orders just gonna go pop and open? And so I personally kind of heard this and I was like, I'm going to keep my phone a little closer. Like I was ready to go as soon as it launched. Because we'll talk about this in a second. But the first wave of production is going to be very limited. I mean, well, I say very limited. They were originally shooting for like 5 or 6 million units. But still, there's a lot of people in the COVID world, too, that are trying to get to a game. So anyway. That was all floating around, but nothing ever came of it this week. And then at the end of the week, this is an article I'm pulling from IGN. Jonathan Dornbush wrote this. Basically, they spoke, or actually, it's coming from Jeff Keighley's DualSense controller first impressions or reactions, whatever, hands-on deal. Yeah. He asked worldwide head of marketing Eric Lempel, basically just like, hey, what was up with that pre-order thing? Like, are we going to have adequate notice? And I'm not even going to read. He put a whole quote out here, but basically Eric, here, I'll just read the quote. Eric said, I think it's safe to say, well, we'll let you know when the pre-order is going to happen. It's not going to happen with a minute's notice. We're going to, at some point, let you know when you can pre-order the PS5. So please don't feel like you have to go out and go run out and line up anywhere until you receive official notice on how that will work. So basically just there wasn't a pre-order this week. It's the news, and that we will get adequate update. And they're not going to just shadow drop it like we're kind of panicking about. So just kind of if you got wind of that, that's kind of where the official word is now. But kind of fishtailing that story, Sony did report that they are increasing their production of units for the PS5. Basically, they're upping the production from, like I said, it was about 5 or 6 million. They're upping it to 10 million. So, and the reason of this is they're seeing the prolonged effects of COVID-19, basically showing that there's a huge demand for games and gaming right now because we're all on quarantine lockdown and we're all
nothing better to do.
There's nothing better to do. So anyway, they're trying to up the production to meet that demand, which is it's such an interesting flip because I could probably roll back a month or two ago and I had a story where we talked about how, hey, the PS5 is going to have limited availability. They're limiting it to 5 or 6 million. And their whole reasoning was, well, COVID is limiting our access to resources. We're not sure what the environment's going to be. Like, are people going to want to spend $500 on something when they haven't worked for several months? To now see here a month later, it's like, oh crap, like people are going to buy the fool out of this because they don't have anything to do. So anyway, if you were worried like I was about getting a PS5, you don't have to worry quite as much. Steven, what do you make of all this?
Show me a price and we'll see if I get one. That's still where I stand. Like, I'm glad that they're upping production. It is kind of weird that they were saying like, oh, this may affect the COVID may affect how much we're able to come out with, all that kind of stuff. And now they're just like, just kidding.
Just kidding. We're
gonna make more.
And that was something at the tail end of that article. They did kind of say, the first 5 million may come out in 2020, but you may not see that next 5 million until early 2021. Right. So it's still gonna be kind of limited, but not as limited as it would have been.
Right. Yeah. Show me a price. I'll probably get one. There's enough games coming that I'm wanting.
I'm excited about it.
I'm just like, yeah, sure.
Yep. I'm ready for a price too. So anyway, hopefully we'll get that sooner rather than later. All right, Steven, let's talk about the Dragon Dogma anime that was announced. I feel like it was announced a while back, but
not that long ago.
No, it was not that long ago. But we have now got an official release date. It's going to be on September 17th. Dragon's Dogma
2 months
anime.
from now.
Yep, will drop
2 months
on Netflix. 2 months.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I saw. I think it was Brody. Yeah, he texted to us, and I was just like, "How is that already out?"
you and he and Brody and you were both freaking out in our group chat, just like, how did they get this done that fast? And I was even thinking, I was like, I know I told them about this, right? Like, this isn't catching them off guard. Like, that's how excited y'all were. It was like this was the first time y'all had heard about it.
Yeah, we knew that it was a thing, but I just assumed it was going to be like at earliest like fall 2021.
Right.
And for them to just be like, "Oh no, yeah, it's coming in 2 months." Like, holy crap. Because the last thing we heard of it was that it was coming.
Right.
And now they're just like, yeah, it's like it's right there. But I feel like Netflix does that a lot with their animation specifically, because I feel like Dragon Prince was announced and then released like 2 months later when it first came out.
Mm-hmm. And they're pretty good about getting the next season out too. Normally it's like within a year.
Animation happens super quick now.
Yeah, it's
got
crazy.
a very quick turnaround.
You would think animation would take longer than like live action stuff, but
you would think so.
It seems to be moving quicker. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no idea what they're doing with Dragon's Dogma, because it is one of those things where it's going to be a weird, or from where I stand, since I haven't looked at anything, I'm like, how are they going to adapt this? Because the whole thing with Dragon's Dogma, just a very quick overview. You're this random person in this random fishing village who your village gets attacked by a giant dragon named Grigori. Grigori just lays waste to your village, rips out your heart, and says, if you want this back, come get it. He literally eats your heart, but like not like noms on it. He just literally like takes it and just goes, well, like just throws it in his throat. He's like, it'll be in my tummy if you want it back. It's weird.
Did you just say he noms on it?
I said he doesn't nom on it, like chew on it.
Okay.
He just like throws it in his mouth and just swallows it whole.
I gotcha. Okay.
But he's this huge dragon. So it's just funny imagery. And it's kind of weird because you are just laying there and your heart literally got pulled out of your chest. But you're revived as what is called the Arisen. There's always a dragon and there's always an Arisen. Mm-hmm. And I might be getting into game spoilers here a little bit. I don't know. But basically the Arisen's purpose is to defeat the dragon, and the dragon's purpose is honestly to be defeated or to kill the Arisen. It's like a cycle, I think. It's been a long time since I played the story of Dragon's Dogma, but the Arisen has access to the pawns, which they're basically they look human, but they don't have a soul. They're just husks basically. And they listen to the Arisen's commands. And the whole gameplay mechanic is that you create one pawn, but you have a party of 4, including yourself and your pawn. So the other 2 party slots are for the pawns that other players have made. And so that's where I'm just like, how much are we going to get from pawns in this? That could be really interesting. But it's one of those games that feels kind of vague. The storytelling isn't great because the narrative's kind of awkward, but the world is interesting. It's got a lot of high concepts. And the magic archer exists, so it's the best thing ever. So I don't know. I'm super intrigued that we're getting it, and I just really want to know more about it.
Right.
But also like anything that's like, hey, more Dragon's Dogma, I am all for. Right. Because that is one of those games where it's just like, it's such a hidden gem to where if you like action RPGs, you will love Dragon's Dogma. It's just got such good combat mechanics. It was begging to be co-op, but they didn't have time to put it in. I think that was in its initial design. So I think like me, Brody, and several others that I know are just back here like holding hands, just be like, announce Dragon's Dogma 2, make it co-op, put us in. Like we're just waiting. So I'm really excited. I can't wait. I'm probably going to forget that it's coming because of all the stuff that is also coming. Right. Like the fact that, we can mention this if you want to segue into it, because it'll just be real quick. Crystal Dynamics Avengers announced its beta dates.
Yep, they did. They did August. Well, the beta's all spread out, but August 7th for PS4. That'll be the first one.
I think that's the pre-order beta, and it goes basically every weekend in August, I think is what they do. The pre-order betas are first, and then the open beta is the 21st, I think. Right. So that's the first 3 weekends in August. It is. I'm going to play all of them.
You're going to play all of them, is that what you said?
All of them. I don't care if it's the same content, Jake. I don't care if my data gets wiped. I'm going to play all of them. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I did pre-order. So hoping I can sucker somebody else into pre-ordering so they can join me on that beta.
Oh, I'm gonna be pre-ordering. In fact, I might have already pre-ordered. I can't remember.
Cool.
Normally, as soon as there's a date dropped, I pre-order. If it's something I know I'm excited about, I pretty much do. I haven't done that for Valhalla or Watch Dogs Legion.
I probably won't be pre-ordering either of them. I'm definitely getting Legion, but for me, and maybe playing through Watch Dogs 1 has already given me the answer, but for me, it's going to be like, do I want this on PC or PS4? In fact, I just corrected myself. Like even now, I've just decided, I'm going to pre-order on PS4 because this is. I haven't seen anyone say this anywhere else, but I was watching Game Informer's coverage of Watch Dogs Legion. Sorry, I'm like just rapid firing out these minor news stories, but they said just passively, like this was common knowledge. Watch Dogs Legion will have 4-player co-op.
Right, I remember you saying that. That is exciting.
I have no idea where they got that from. I feel like surely I would have heard that, you know, but they were just like, it's confirmed that we'll have 4-player co-op. So let's, and they were just went along. I was like, wait, no, stop. Please explain.
Let's open that can of worms right here.
But yeah, so I will be getting on PS4 so that Jake can bring his character that he finds that's an Olympic archer / cat enthusiast / amateur magician.
You know, you joke, but after some of the characters I have seen from Watch Dogs after the Ubisoft press conference, I wouldn't. They have a person who has bees that they can control.
I heard about that. I heard about like
the sky's the limit now. I don't know what they're gonna have, but my whole reasoning for not pre-ordering those specifically, I'm getting all of them. But at this point, with Valhalla and Cyberpunk being delayed into November, I might have a PS5 by then. And so, although they have confirmed like, hey, yeah, you're gonna get an upgraded version. Oh, hey, yeah, you're gonna whatever. If the PS5 gets here before those get here, like I don't even want to deal with I have a PS4 version. How do I upgrade it? I just want to start, So I'm going to wait till I at least know what that whole situation is going to be before I get those. But Watch Dogs is a lot soon. I don't expect that it'll launch before the PS5 won't launch before Watch Dogs get here.
There's no way it's going to come.
That would be the drop of the year though, wouldn't it?
It really would.
Being crazy.
Watch Dogs Legion will offer a free PS4 to PS5 upgrade. I just found that, so I'll be pre-ordering for PS4.
Legion and Valhalla and Cyberpunk will all upgrade.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was confirmed yet. I knew about Cyberpunk.
Yes, pretty much anyone that has said, "Hey, if you're getting this for PS4, they've either said you can play it on PS5, and eventually there will be a free graphical update or like performance update to bring it up to
match
PS5
it
standards. And they've almost all of them. In fact, I can't think of anyone that has put a price on it, but everyone has said there will be a free PS5 upgrade, whether that be a performance upgrade or it'll be playable on PS5. So, even though Sony hasn't been real open about how that's going to work, everyone else just seems to be treating it like that's just the new norm, is that things will just update. So, which I love. I'm all about that. So, speaking of things that I'm going to probably have to wait to play on a PS5, Destiny 2 Beyond Light has been delayed from its original release date of September 22nd to November 10th. Bungie announced this in a blog post and basically just said, the past few months have been a challenge and will continue to be during this pandemic. We've learned to create together in a new way by having to work apart from one another. Despite these hurdles, we're still committed to the same level of quality that our fans expect. So they've basically announced that they're delaying it and that they're going to continue to make announcements over the coming weeks about what we can expect from that. But the big thing here is that the current expansion, the Season of Arrival, is going to be extended to that November 10th date. So really all this adds, it does a couple things. Number one, it gives you more time. Moments of Trials is going on, or Moments of Triumphs is going on right now. So if you're trying to get one of those triumphs or whatever, or knock out some of those triumphs, you're going to have a lot longer to do that than you originally did. The season of, or not the season, but the Heroes of Solstice event where we get the new glowing armor that everyone, either gets really excited about or real upset about. That I'm assuming we'll have longer to do that as well. Because that's going to have to extend. And then the other big thing is the Halloween event, the Festival of Lost Souls. Is that right? I think that's right. Anyway, the Halloween event. That is now going to take place in this season. Normally, it would have been a part of the next season, the expansion, whatever. So that's a little different. But anyway, kind of different, a little crazy.
Can I be honest about Destiny Beyond Light?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much stuff coming that it's going to be really hard for me to care.
Yeah, I very much feel bad that they did this because and I feel this way about everything because it feels like everything at this point is getting pushed to November or September. And like, that's fine. I understand we're in a pandemic, And I understand you're all trying to make it work, and that's great. Like, please don't push yourself too hard. Don't get sick, stay safe, whatever. But we're all pushing things to the same date. Like, somebody has to bite the bullet and say, hey, you know what? We're just going to push to 2021. Like, somebody's got to be that guy to push it to December or do something. And I know no one wants to do that, but come November, it's going to be crazy. Like, we're going to have Watch Dogs Legion.
You gotta wonder if Cyberpunk is gonna be the one to bite the bullet. Because go ahead.
There's a part. So when they announced that game, right, and they said, "Hey, we've delayed it. We've delayed it to September because it was going to be like early this year, like I want to say March or April." When they delayed it to September, I thought, "Ooh, that's really close to PS5, but I'm not going to be able to wait to play that. I'm going to want to play that as soon as it launches. So I'll get it on a PS4 and then maybe I'll play it again on PS5 or something." But once they pushed it to November, there was a part of me that was just like, they should just make this a PS5 game. Like, they should just wait. They should find out when that date's going to be and make it and try to get a PS5 version by 2021 or something. But I don't know. Because that's one that I think most people would look at it and say, ooh, I got to play that on the PS5. That looks so good. I want to, that's going to be even better on the next system. So I don't know. It's just crazy because I was telling you this. I thought Watch Dogs Legion and Cyberpunk were like 2 days from each other, but it's actually Valhalla and Cyberpunk are 2 days from each other. Watch Dogs was smart by going a month early and getting their Cyberpunk world out of the way. And so, you can have somewhat of a cyber. It's going to be very different gameplays and styles, but
yeah, I understand like saying like Watch Dogs and Cyberpunk are similar like thematic wise, but I do think that they are different enough because Cyberpunk is more, well, it's Cyberpunk. I would say Watch Dogs is more like postmodern. I had the word a second ago, dystopian, something like that.
Right. Well, and also it's third person action
and it's less RPG, more like roster managing and like I think that they are pretty different. To where even if they came out the same day,
they're pretty different and they've got just enough space between the two. Now Valhalla, I don't know what's going to happen there. So I was planning on getting
I hope it fails. I hope it fails so hard. I hope they're like, well, maybe we should start making Assassin's Creed games again.
And on that note, Steven, let's talk about Assassin's Creed Tsushima. I mean,
the best Assassin's Creed game you've played in 5 years.
Okay,
possibly ever.
Let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima. Now, Steven, I want to start, if that's okay with you.
Go ahead.
Because back in 2018, when this game was shown, I said, I call dibs. I want to stream this one. I want to do the first playthrough. I'm so excited. It has been.
We're in agreement. You got Ghost. I got Spider-Man. That's what came of that. I
have been so excited about this since it was announced. I think in our most anticipated game, I'm pretty sure it was my number one game that I was most anticipating. I am here to tell you that this game is probably my game of the year. It is so great, but I will caveat, it is a Jake ass game. Like, it was made for me in so many ways. The only thing they didn't do is they didn't put magic, but they did give you a flaming sword. So that they basically fulfilled all the needs that I had. But it is so good. Number one, let's start here, Steven. It's beautiful. Okay.
Possibly the most gorgeous game I've ever played.
I can't argue with that, to be honest with you. There was, I think, whatever the most recent state of play, I think I came out of that saying, I don't know, the graphics just didn't look right. Something didn't look right. I hope they fix that. I don't know what it was, and I'm sure they fixed it, because playing it I stop every
it's,
like 5 seconds, and I'm just like,
I do too.
wow, look at this.
Like,
Wow.
It's and not to say that, like, when I say it is the most gorgeous, possibly the most gorgeous game I've ever played, I'm not saying it has the best graphics. It's got good graphics, but its visuals are so good. Like, I've been saying to everybody, you know how Into the Spider-Verse, that the Spider-Man movie, they say that it's like a giant leap in animation to where you could pause any frame of the movie and you've got a comic book page.
Right.
Which is like totally true. Ghost of Tsushima is like, you could pause pretty much wherever and just have like, boom, desktop wallpaper.
Right.
Like, it is that kind of game. There are times when I paused the game once and sent that picture to my brother, and I was like, I paused my game and just unpaused and screenshot, and that's what I got. And he was just like, oh my God. And then I sent that one to Brody of me standing over the mountain with the flute and the sunset. And I was just like, that was photo mode, but that was unfiltered. I did not mess with that shot at all. I just zoomed out.
You just hit photo mode so that you could get the shot lined up. And
get the angle. Yeah. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
so beautiful. And then the gameplay is, it's all I want from a game's gameplay. The sword combat, the katana combat, is really, really good. I mean, you can tell they started there and said, this is the one thing we have to nail. And then we can expand from this. But it's so nice. You've got blocks and parries and stuff, but it's very, you know, we'll talk about this. I'm sure you're going to say a lot of this too, Stephen, but just, you feel like a samurai because you're waiting for the other person to do something. They're either going to attack you and you have to dodge, or you can block. You can break people's guard. It's very much about watching what your opponent's going to do and actually having a duel. And then there are different stances that you can take. There's a stone stance, water stance, wind stance, moon stance. And basically, depending on what type of enemy you're fighting, you can switch stances, and that'll help you combat that particular enemy type. That combat feels great. But beyond, well, I don't. What do you think about the sword combat, Steven? I want to get into stealth, but I want to give you a second to talk about it.
Kalen put it very well when I streamed this on Saturday. He said it's very fast but methodical.
Right.
And it's so hard to walk that line. Like when Jedi Fallen Order was coming out, I think the one thing that I said about the combat, I was like, if it's a Souls-like game, just make it methodical, but make it well paced enough to where you still feel like you can do acrobatics and you can still like swing quickly and everything, all that kind of stuff. So like a fast methodical. And that is exactly what Tsushima does, because there are moments where you are like Saturday night, I fought like 15 to 20 guys by accident. And it was one of those things where it was a very fast fight because I was getting surrounded and I needed to act every single second. But at the same time, once I started getting a foothold, which took a minute, I was able to pace myself a little bit more and put more method because I started getting my butt kicked at the beginning of that fight. And then the more I started to analyze, okay, there are that many spearmen, there are that many shields, that many swordsmen, and there are archers over there. That's when I was able to control the pace myself, because I was able to move the fight in the direction I needed to move. And this game does that so well to where, even though it can sometimes feel like the enemies attack you like goons from an action movie where they go one at a time, sometimes it can feel that way. The game is heightened for it because they do gang up on you a good bit, and they do use tactics. The AI seems pretty smart, but I'll get more into the why. But I think the game is improved for it, but also it further pushes that idea of this game as an homage to samurai cinema. But past the whole like the fast aspect, there are duels that are boss battles where you don't have your bow, you don't have your ghost tools, you just have your katana. And in those moments, it so perfectly captures like an intense samurai film where the hero is up against the villain. Right. that whole thing. It feels like a lightsaber duel, basically, like the kind of thing that lightsaber duels were based on, because that's exactly what it is. And in those moments, like, it can be really methodical, because there are times when your enemy is, like, you can see what stance he's in. He's got stone and he's like pacing around you, and then you could switch stance and you just be like, okay, I'm water now. What are you going to do about it? And you're just pacing around each other, just trying to figure out what's my best strategy. And then it's almost like the pacing is, there are a few seconds of just like constant hits. And then you guys back off of each other and you try to figure out, okay, how do I handle the next exchange? Like it's you have that time to think, and then it's just like, okay, act, breathe, think. It's just very well paced, and I don't know. I'm really impressed, because it's hard to just completely reinvent sword combat.
Right.
It's been done to death, but I mean, understandably so. And I think a theme with Ghost is that it doesn't necessarily try to reinvent it, but little things, just so many little things that they do with melee combat, with everything else, and we'll talk about more, I'm sure, that they do make it elevated to where, even though, it's a game that uses elements that we've seen before, it puts so much thought and care into so many little things that it's just like, it's better than than those things.
Right.
I don't know. Just be warned. I'm going to get rambly with this game, because I've had a lot of thoughts, this game's also made it hard to play Watch Dogs, because this game exists now and I have to go play Watch Dogs. I have to go save Tyrone from falling through the floor, and like, I want to go be a samurai.
So let's talk about some of the Ghost aspects as well. So there's a whole stealth element of the game, and we've joked and said, like, oh yeah, this is the best Assassin's Creed game we've played in a while. The stealth aspect of it, I feel like is good. Reading a lot of reviews, I kind of got worried, because that seemed to be the low point of a lot of reviews that I read. But having played it, I don't know what they were alluding to.
I think, based on what I read, and you've done a lot more Ghost than I have, so you may be able to elaborate on a lot of this stuff. But to me, the reviews seemed like they were expecting stealth, like bypassing confrontation with stealth entirely. But what Ghost is trying to be is less about, wow, I never saw him, and more of, I never saw him kill that guy. Right. Like, it's about killing someone before they see you and just working your way quickly through them, just picking them off one by one. It's about being an assassin, not a spy.
Right.
That's kind of the difference. And I feel like people were expecting more spy, like something from Thief.
Right.
But what's actually happening is, when you are the Ghost, you are trying to kill quickly and efficiently and nullify threats,
right,
rather than trying to bypass threats.
Right. Well, the thing that I walked away with from some reviews that I read was, they talked about, with the stealth, the AI just can't understand what's happening. And I don't know what they were alluding to there, because I don't know. Maybe it's how I play stealthily. Normally I get to a high point when I first make entry. I snipe out all archers at any high points. And then I start to find the people that are separated, and I start taking out, usually I'm taking out one person at a time when they're completely out of view of everyone else, or I'm chain assassinating one or two people, or sometimes three if I get lucky and there's enough people close together. So there really hasn't been a lot of opportunity for someone to see something I've done and have a bad reaction to it. But I don't know. I'm saying all this to say, I read that in reviews and still don't know what they were talking about, because I haven't had that experience with stealth where the AI did something weird or wasn't good. I've loved the stealth aspects of it. And the other thing I'll say, and I don't think this is spoilery or anything, and we're not going to get into spoilers with this, but I like that being a samurai and being a ghost are not a black and white morality system for this game.
Yeah.
Because going into or coming out of Infamous, we kind of were like, oh, well, how's Ghost going to work? Because I'm going to want to be a ghost, but being a samurai would be cool too.
It does make you feel bad, and I like that it makes you feel bad because it shows that conflict with Jin.
It does, and you do feel bad, and a lot of people make comments about it, of like whatever. Which it's funny. I very much have taken on this mentality playing it, and it's funny that the game does kind of make you do this. But I've kind of been thinking in my head the whole time. I'm it's like I'm preparing for a conflict that I don't even know is coming yet in the game, where someone's going to be like, "Why have you done all of this? You have dishonored, all of Japan, blah, blah, blah." And I'm going to be like, look, dude, I just saved the whole fucking island. Like, you could just back off. Like, I'm just going to be real dramatic about it, but I don't know how that's going to go. But
I love that, or at least from where we are right now in the story, because we're basically the same spot, and I won't say anything about the story, but I love that it respects the samurai ideology and like the idea of a samurai so much to where over here where there is that whole aspect of embracing the gray, where to us the greater good outweighs our own code. Like we kind of have that thought where if I can save lives, then what does my honor mean? But to samurai, honor is everything.
Right.
And the fact that it is a struggle for Jin to approach situations where he forgoes the honorable approach and goes a little bit against Bushido. I like that they do that. I like that they portray it as just, you don't fight like a samurai, or that you fight like a demon, like all that kind of stuff. Like they make it a big deal because to what we understand about just the mythos of a samurai is that would be a big deal. But at the same time, they don't make it to where Jin's just like, who needs honor?
Right.
Like he struggles with it, but also, but also, I pointed this out when you were streaming it with your first impressions, but his uncle asks him, what does it mean to be honorable, or what is honor? And Jin responds, to protect people. So the fact that Jin defines honor as protecting the innocent rather than, by the code of honor itself, like approaching situations where you kill someone by looking them in the eye, all that kind of stuff. Since he defines honor through that lens of to protect the innocent is to be honorable, then he can kind of create that paradox in his head of, if I don't do what needs to be done right now to save that person, then I've already broken my honor.
Right.
It's an interesting thing that they don't really, they just mention it once and they just let the subtext kind of be there. And I was really pleased with that.
I'm sure it'll come up more as we continue through the story, but this is a good
I hope
segue.
It does.
What do you think of that? So far, I'm really enjoying the story. A lot of people I've listened to, talking about their first impressions and stuff, a lot of people have compared it to, this is a very Batman story of just, Batman forgoes his own well-being to, be the savior the city needs or whatever. I'm really enjoying the story. I'm having a good time with it. A lot of the side characters and side missions I've done have been really, really interesting. Like, we haven't even really talked about bow gameplay and how much you and I both are.
Man.
It's our whole strength. We're in the same outfit that increases like draw speed and stuff like that. But how you get that weapon, or how you get that armor, and then how you get the longbow, and then there's the whole storyline of the way of the bow, which has just been an amazing story quest for me.
I love Sensei Ishikawa. He's great.
He's the guy that teaches you. He gives you the bow. He teaches you how to use it and all that stuff. But yeah, there's some great little side stories in here that I've really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, I would say it's less of a Batman story, just because Batman still holds to his personal code no matter what, the whole code of not killing. I can understand why people would say Batman, but to me, because it's me and I have to compare everything to this probably eventually, it's more of a Jason Brody story.
Right.
And there's probably a better way to define it, where it is, I am giving up who I am and who I feel like I'm supposed to be who I need to be. Jin is giving up possibly, we don't know. We're not that far in the story, but I feel like there could be some huge repercussions to where Jin is cast out by the end of this thing. He's standing there having saved all of Tsushima, and they can't even look him in the eye. And they are just like, you've disrespected the entire Sakai name. Get out of here. And that whole idea of, to him, he did what he saw as honorable, to what was right, to save people, but the end, it cost him his honor.
Right.
But that's those stories are always interesting to me, because it's that whole idea of self-sacrifice, like not just sacrificing your life, but sacrificing, like, not your breathing life, but your
way of life,
way of being, your way of life. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I like stories like that. And so far, I think that's where this is headed. I hope it's where they're headed. I've seen some criticisms that the voice acting is stilted and it's kind of stiff and everything. And I probably am going to sound like I come off this way a lot with this game. But this way being, I try to explain away its make excuses to explain away its potential flaws. But when I have sat and thought about these things over the past couple of days, I didn't really have to reach internally to think. It was just like, well, why this? Okay, well, yeah, probably that. So it wasn't much of I didn't have to argue with myself to come up with this. But to me, the way the voice acting is and the pacing of the dialogue and the story and everything, at least in cutscenes specifically, it just feels like they're furthering that homage to Akira Kurosawa. Just kind of stiff dialogue and one-to-one conversation. It just seems like it was deliberate. And also, I mean, they wouldn't talk the way we do.
Right.
Like, you may look at a game like Last of Us and think like, wow, that's really relatable dialogue. You should not look at a game trying to emulate samurai culture and think, wow, what a relatable guy. Because their way of life was so different.
Right.
And so sure, it'll feel stilted, but that's probably by design.
Yeah. See, I haven't noticed as much of an issue with voice acting, and this is an isolated issue, and I think people who don't touch this game for even another month, or people like you, Steven, who didn't play Last of Us Part 2, it's unfortunate that this game came out so close to Last of Us because of character animation and how all that, and voice acting, because Last of Us has a stellar cast of people we love from the video game community, but also their animation of characters in cutscenes, but also out of cutscenes, like just non-playable characters that you interact with, are so full of emotion and like what they're doing. Their animation is so lifelike. Whereas in this game, it's if you were to compare two NPCs just walking around, there would be a lot of difference, and like you'd be like, wow, yeah, this is not up to par with what Last of Us is. But it's not so bad that it's a noticeable thing. You know what I mean? Like, I notice it because I just played Last of Us and I'm now coming into this, and it's jarring for me. But like a great example of this is a lot of side stories or smaller quests that you take on. There's not a cutscene to go along with it. It's just the two characters standing next to each other in a wide shot, and then maybe a close up. Just standing still talking. But like main story missions, there's usually a cutscene, and the cutscenes are good. But when you're looking at just the characters just standing and saying, and you're listening to dialogue with the occasional camera angle cut, you can tell like, wow, okay, that's not, there's a difference here. But anyway, it's funny. I noticed it so much that it's really catches me off guard when I do take on a side quest and there is a cutscene.
Yeah.
Like, there was it was a random quest that I took where I met a healer, and he was like, I need to go to this camp on the other side of town. These people have been poisoned. And when I talked to him and it started with a cutscene, I was like, was this a story mission? What did I do? What did I just walk into? Because literally everything else had just been stiff bodies kind of talking to each other. But
yeah,
that's and I don't even say that as a complaint. I just kind of am pointing out a lot of reviewers talked about that, and I think it's just unfortunate that the timing happened.
Yeah,
because it's not a noticeable issue.
Right. It's not trying to do what Last of Us was trying to do in the way that it was trying to do it. Because Last of Us was all about trying to simulate reality through the way it looked and how much people actually bleed and all that kind of stuff. To whereas it's almost like watching an emotional journey live action versus watching an emotional journey in animation. Like one allows you to like, this is me personally. I never played Last of Us 2 and I never will play Last of Us 2 because I have no desire to, but I understand what it was trying to do. I know everything about the game. I've seen a lot of it, all that stuff. But it was trying to make an emotional journey for the player where they could learn to let go of grudges and anger and revenge and all that kind of stuff. And it deals with very emotional, heavy things, and it shows you all of this stuff in brutal detail. And it just kind of is relentless. It hits you harder and harder and harder. Ghost kind of does that, where it shows how things kind of sucked for the samurai at a lot of points in their existence. And when you talk to Lady Masako about how she just buried her entire family and she had to like bury her granddaughter with her daughter because she didn't know what to do with like the small corpse and all this kind of stuff. She's talking about all that stuff, and it's just like there's some heavy stuff in this game. And like the Mongolian army, like they're doing bad things,
right?
But even amongst all this death and destruction and everything, just like the samurai balance this whole idea of being a warrior, but also a poet, someone who can feel such like intensity in combat, but also they're very gentle and have that emotional control. This game meets that balance of sometimes you are cutting through guys, but other times you are sitting at the ocean writing a haiku, acknowledging the beauty in the world, like where you can have those peaceful, serene moments intermixed with the blood. It was a very, I don't know if this was intentional on their part, but it's just kind of how the game has spoken to me personally, to where it is a very peaceful experience between fighting, to where you can even have just killed like 6 people, sheath your sword, and then look out and just notice a really beautiful view of the sun rising over the ocean and just stop and kind of look.
Taking the moment, yeah.
Taking the moment. Like it does that so well. And I don't know if it was intentional, but for me, it is really cool how they're able to balance that idea of this is such a dark place right now. Tsushima is not a good place to be, but at the same time, there's so much beauty within the blood.
Right.
I just really appreciate how they were able to do that, and how it doesn't really feel like there's a wasted moment,
right,
in Ghost, because even like I found myself looking forward to writing haiku,
right,
or to cutting the bamboo stand.
Oh, the bamboo stands are great.
Yeah,
I need more.
It does such a good job where I feel like Last of Us, and I'm not trying to parallel these two. I'm not saying which game is better, which one's not, but Ghost is definitely better. But Last of Us is more of a story that takes you along with the characters. And I feel like while there is a character study in Jin, Last of Us gets an emotional response from the characters. Ghost gets an emotional response from the world,
right,
and being there. I don't know. There's probably some parallels there, and I thought about it, but I didn't go into this thinking like I'm going to talk about how they're the they're both an emotional journey,
Right.
but there's definitely something to analyze there. And I'm beyond impressed with just Tsushima as a place.
Right.
And it makes me want to go to Japan again.
Well,
I've actually been to Japan, never left the airport, but I've been there.
You've been there. I
Been there.
This has made me realize that Sucker Punch is probably one of my, like, I've probably always known this, and like if you asked me, they probably would have come up. But like Sucker Punch may be my favorite developer because I loved Sly Cooper, I loved Infamous, I now love Ghost of Tsushima. It has been all great. The one other thing I wanted to mention, you talking about the beauty and the chaos. I'm kind of trying to create this mythos in my head for my character. Every time I approach a fort, I play my flute, and I
do that too.
It's I don't know if it, to me it's like a taunting thing. Like I want them to hear the flute coming, and then when the flute stops, I want them to be like, "Oh God, we're dead."
No joke. That is my justification for striking first. That because it is still honorable to me if they hear the song of death and they do not do anything about it.
They should have run. They should have cut and run.
That is me saying the ghost's coming.
I love it. The only other critique that I do want to mention, and this is a funny place to start it off. Steven and I are literally twinsies in this game. We're wearing the same outfit, where we got the same loadout. Like
I did
literally
it.
down
I did
to
it
the
first.
hat. The only difference right now is that I'm wearing a cloth mask and Steven is not wearing a mask. I don't think do you have the thief's mask that I'm talking about? It's just a black cloth. Okay.
I don't have that.
Okay. That's probably why you haven't worn a mask, because I didn't like any of the masks I got at the beginning until I got that one. And I was like, you know what? This works. This works with what I'm going for. So what I'm getting at is I wish there was a little bit more customization options in your character loadout, because a lot of the armor sets look awesome. But like a lot of the samurai armor will have these big shoulder pads, and you upgrade your gear. And as you upgrade your gear, the appearance changes. And one nice thing that they did do is that you can upgrade your gear, but set the appearance to be a lower version of that gear.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, it's almost a non-issue for me at that point. I wish there were more choices, like more than just the few armor sets that we have. But the fact that you can choose the visual tier, but still upgrade all the way, that was a huge gesture for me. And I was very pleased to see that they did that. But yeah, go on.
See, I wish that. So right now you have 3 slots. You've got a hat or a headpiece. You've got a mask, and then you've got whatever armor set you have. And
everything else. Yeah,
which is everything else. So I wish it had been a little bit more detailed of like, hey, you're wearing that samurai armor. Do you want to have the shoulder pads or no? You got a bow equipped, but you're wearing the traveler's outfit. Do you want that bow to show up? Like stuff like that. And like, even I haven't even gotten to, I'm sure there's some cool ghost armor or something. What we've seen.
I was going to say, surely there's ghost armor. And I really feel like once you get that armor, you're going to be like, okay, this is me now.
It's going to be hard. I'll just be honest with you. If the, I forget what it's called. I keep calling it Todoroki's armor.
Todiori.
The archery armor. Like, if it didn't have that scarf piece that kind of flows in the back, it would be really hard for me to like that armor set. But I love it because of what it does from a gameplay standpoint. Once I can dye it black, I'm going to be solid and I'm going to be fine. It's going to be hard when I see the ghost outfit and I'm like, crap, this looks so cool.
See, but I love everything about Todiori's armor. Everything about it. I love the scarf. I love the actual look of the armor. If I'd seen that armor, but there was an archer armor out there somewhere, I probably would have been like, I want to wear Todiori's armor.
Right.
So like literally everything about Todiori's armor lined up for me. I love the quest that you do to get it, how it's the armor of a fabled archer. Like so cool. But yeah, I do agree that it would be nice to have more options. But it did more than it had to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's much kinder than it needed to be, but I just wish there was more.
You really would have expected. It's again, the little things really do go a long way with me. Just when a developer can predict the first question I'm going to have. like the clan armor is the one with the shoulder pads, which I like the basic clan armor. I like the way it looks at tier 1. And when I looked at tier 2, I was like, oh man, I can't upgrade that now because I'm going to have those huge shoulder guards. But then when I upgraded Todayori's armor and I saw change appearance and I was able to go tier by tier, I was just really impressed by that because like, I feel like no one else really would have made a big enough fuss about that to where they would have made a big call for make it to where we can do this. But they were able to just be like, this is something they'll want.
Right.
And they did that. Did you have anything else to say? Because I do have something I want to say.
No, that's pretty much. I mean, I'll wrap up my thoughts and let you kind of give a final thoughts as well. But I love the game. Like I said, it is probably my game of the year at this point. Like Cyberpunk is really going to have to bring it. Like I don't know, and I don't know that they can beat it, frankly, because this game feels like it was made for me. Again, my one critique is cosmetic stuff, which I don't think will ever be updated, but man, if they did, that would be awesome. But it just, so far it's a game that's made for me. I hope there's a sequel coming. Again, I don't know what is going to happen at the end of the story. I hope we get more of this game from Sucker Punch in PS5 era. I think it could be really cool if even if we only get one more, and this isn't my final thoughts, I'm just expounding on what you said. Even if we only got one more Ghost game, it was about the fall of the samurai. Yeah. Like the coming of the age of gunpowder, basically. Yeah. Because that's such a compelling story. Like The Last Samurai, that film that told that story. And I love that movie. There's so many
accurate
places
or not,
they could go.
I love that movie.
I mean, there's so many. Yeah. Because there's a second invasion of Tsushima that we could have. Yeah. There's, like you're talking about, the fall of the samurai. Like, there's so many places they could go. I can't wait.
As long as we end up, like, if they are wrapping up their time with the samurai, I would really just love them to give like a really hard hit once they've ironed out the kinks of like, because don't get me wrong, Ghost of Tsushima could exist as just Ghost of Tsushima and never do anything else again, and it'd be a gem.
Oh yeah.
It could just be them just being like, we really want to do this one thing this one time. Boom, we nailed it. See you in the next thing that we do. Right. Like, I would be okay with that. I would love to see more, but I feel like it's trying to do such a specific thing and it hits that specific thing so well to where if we were to get another one, I feel like they would have to change up what they're trying to do because it's hard to improve much on how they've already done this with how faithful it is to samurai cinema. Right. But I would love if we ended this whole run with samurai. If we got more games, I would love if we ended with a game that really focused on story and emotional attachment and everything, but focused on the fall of samurai. Right. I don't know if that'd be really cool. But yeah, more from them would be fantastic. I'm torn because I want more Infamous.
I do too.
But now this is here too. Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to be split and start making. Well, let's have them split 3 ways and start making more Sly games again, more Infamous and more Ghosts. That's what we need. Man. I do think, one more thing before I close, I do think that it's going to be really hard for Cyberpunk to beat this game for you because aesthetically, I think it's got so many advantages against Cyberpunk. I think you're going to love Cyberpunk, but you're more prone, correct me if I'm wrong, you're more prone to more fantasy or more fantasy kind of settings rather than kind of the gritty futuristic sci-fi stuff. I don't even think for me that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing for me is it's third person versus first person. If Cyberpunk
I was going to say that too. Yeah.
Then I would be scared that I'm going to really not be sure which one I ended up liking more.
Not saying that I feel like you can't enjoy the other, but I do feel like you gravitate more towards the stories of magic and swords and bows and samurai and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's more your. You're going to love Cyberpunk. We all know you will.
Oh yeah. But if I had to choose one, I think I agree with what you're saying, but I enjoy both.
Right. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, going into it, I do think Cyberpunk does have to bring it because this game that has, like, if you had to pick a game about samurai or a game about cyberpunk life, like just off of that information, I feel like you would have chosen the samurai game. And the fact that the samurai game did blow it out of the water, Cyberpunk's going to have to deliver even more. And I'm really curious to see if it actually can.
Technically, they're both games about samurai. So we will have to figure that out. But
okay. But my final thoughts.
Yes.
Basically, I've seen a lot of people like the reviews, and I'm not saying that you can't say this is not the best game ever. That's not what I'm saying. But when I see a review basically say like, you've played this game before, that person's a moron. Like if their thoughts of this game, well, it's got an open world. You've got a horse. You can stealth kill people. You've got tall grass to hide it. It's just Assassin's Creed. You've played this game before. If that's where their thoughts like culminate, they should not be reviewing anything in pop culture, because yes, it takes ideas from other open world games and it can feel similar in execution. Well, not even execution. It can feel similar in gameplay, but I'm not going to look at you and say, you've played Fortnite, so you probably wouldn't like Gears of War. That's a stupid statement. And just to this game's defense, because I've seen like the lowest score I've seen it get is a 7. And I can understand that. For me, it's probably a 9. But to say things like it's just Assassin's Creed is just so wrong, because it hits so many, like I've been saying, the smaller things and the art style. My God, if the people who did the visuals for this game don't get something, like even a cookie, buy these people a freaking cookie, just give them something.
I was about to say, yeah, if they don't win art direction or style at the Game Awards, I'm going to be so frustrated.
Like they deserve all the accolades for what they've done here. And that alone is enough to just say like, it plays similar to something you've played, but you have not seen a game like this. Because the art style alone, just the world of Tsushima is so unique in how it looks and how it's so the way I put it on the stream on Saturday was, it's like they went to the art director with a box of crayons and they were like, which ones do we use? And they just took their sunglasses and went, all of them. And they just went nuts.
They did.
They really did. And just its dedication to what it's trying to do. They said from the foundation of this game, we want to do this. And they did not stray from that. Like I would be surprised to hear that they had to do any kind of reworking of the concept, because it feels like such a passion project.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just to say that you've played this game before. This is me basically just saying, like, if you've seen reviews and you're just like, I don't think I'll play this because I've played Assassin's Creed, don't let that sway you away from that can't be. If you're just like, I'm not that into samurai, that's totally fine. Yeah. But if you are saying, I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I've played Ghost of Tsushima, you have it so wrong, and you really need to do yourself a favor and play Ghost of Tsushima.
It's so good. The last thing I'll say, and then we are seriously moving on, but this is really just more of, I want to make sure you know this, Steven. So there are several Sly Cooper items in the game. There's a headband and there's a sword kit that makes your sword look like a tanuki tail. It's called the Sly Tanuki. So keep an eye out for that. Huh. And then I've seen some people put it together with an armor set that has the blue and gold, but I'm not counting that. There's also a headband that's called the Headband of the Second Sun, and it's not a full beanie, but it's if the beanie of, is it Desmond?
It's Delson.
I was really close. It's the headband, or it's the beanie that Delson wears in Second Son if that beanie was turned into a headband. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So there's some fun little tidbits in there, and there might be more from Second Son and Infamous in there. That's the only thing I've seen. So anyway, all that to say, we'll move on from there. I'm going to talk about the other game that I played this weekend, which is Paper Mario. And
we really should have closed with Ghost.
Do what?
We really should have closed with Ghost, because like I'm sure you've got good things to say about Paper Mario, because it sounds really cool, but like I can't think of the last time we both universally praised the game so much. And so it's like, Paper Mario, it's pretty good. Bye. Like,
that's pretty much it. Yep. Okay. Bye. No. I'm just so I won't take up much time, and that's why I didn't want to do it at the front, because this is going to be so quick. But to sum up Paper Mario, I haven't spent a ton of time with it, but what I will say is it has so much charm and so much heart. It is so funny. If you go watch my live stream of my kind of first moments with it, there's a bunch of moments that happen in a forest with these trees. And then there's a whole sequence after that where the bit that I thought was done with the trees kept going. And when I say it kept going, I mean it kept going and going and going and going and going, and it was so funny. So anyway, it's a funny game. The battle system is very strange. Enemies come to you in a circle and you line them up and then hit them and attack them, and it's not bad. There's nothing like wrong with it. It's just not the most fun thing ever. It's literally a spin on turn-based tactics. And I almost feel like normal turn-based tactics would have been more fun, but I digress. So I don't know that, for the normal person, it's a game that they got to pick up right now. But if you don't have anything else that you're playing, if you're on the Switch and you can get it at a good price, I think it would be a really enjoyable game to play through. Like I played it a little bit kind of in between breaks during church this morning, and it's just a fun, chill experience that you can just kind of jump in, do a little bit of story, have a laugh, and then keep rolling. So that's my review of Paper Mario, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm excited to see more of it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We appreciate you tuning in. There's a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're at chortlegames.com. You can like this page, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. You may also be watching this on Facebook, which is at Chortle Games. We'd appreciate it if you like that page, like this video, share it, and comment as well. But you may say, oh, I don't like to watch YouTube or Facebook. Maybe you like to watch on Twitter or Twitch. Twitter is at Chortle Games, and Twitch is twitch.tv/Chortle_games, where we do all of our live streaming to all four of those channels, so you can hang out there. And if you're an audio listener, you're listening on Apple Podcasts, and we'd love it if you could leave us a review to let us know what you think about the show. Anyway, this has been a good week. A lot of fun Ghost of Tsushima talk, and I'm sure we're going to be playing Ghost all week long. So expect to hear more updates from that as we go. Like I said, we live stream normally 3 days a week, normally Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But Steven is doing forward compatible this month, hitting Watch Dogs hard. So Watch Dogs will probably be happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So be sure to tune into those. Maybe we'll see some turn up Thursday or Friday or Saturday, but probably will be some Ghost of Tsushima thrown in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Steven, thank you for being here as always. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.